Hey, this is John Carlos, and I'm here with a look at the Hot Toys 6-scale figure of the Wasp from Ant-Man and the Wasp. Now, if you like my pop reviews, if you like my action figure and 6-scale figure reviews, feel free to subscribe to my channel by clicking the little subscribe button. So here's the Wasp as it looks fresh out of the packaging, without the little back section. You can see there are some holes where you plug on either the wingless back attachment or you attach the wings and then the little cover for that. The details on this are really great as far as like the texture of her outfit. You can see that like there is, I mean, besides just like the basics of like her more solid shoes, that there is like a cloth material that you can see there like on her thighs, and then it meets like this sort of rubbery coating, and that like rubber has its own texture to it. A majority of this figure, as far as like the side of the legs and the arms, are rubber until you get to like her bust area. From the shoulders to like the bottom of the top of her ribs, that's like a harder plastic piece. It isn't really flexible the way the rubber and cloth is. But like look at the texturized detail on there. All that little like, it's like inverted ribbing. Looks really good. All the color separation looks really clean to me. I really like the way they handled like the edges of her shoes, like the little break there for the ankle joint, but then where it meets at the top of the over the ankle. There's a little look at her gauntlets on the side there, and then we have to take a closer look at her helmeted head. There is also an Evangeline Lilly portrait. We'll get to that in a moment, but I just want to give everyone a closer look at the head. There's some pretty good texturing right there on the top of the helmet. The top section does slide off so we can make it light up. Again, we'll do that in a moment as well. But I really like the way they designed her helmet. I think she actually looks pretty good. I like the level of detail in this. It's what Hot Toys is good at. So no surprise there. I'm not always going to be playing with articulation, but I mean, she does have a good range of motion as far as like her arms hitting a T-pose. You have a good like almost 120 degree angle with the arms there. Some pretty good, some decent swing at the shoulders. The legs, it's always curious when figures have tights because I feel like the fabric does limit how much you can spread the legs. Can't get too much of a hinge forward or back, but yeah, decent knee joint. Yeah, actually very decent knee joint. Ankles are good as far as playing with them to get the figure to stand correctly earlier. That wasn't really a problem. And then the head, the helmeted head and like the neck, it actually stays in pretty good little spots. Not the biggest range of motion, but dramatic enough. I'm curious how the regular head portrait will work. The crunch is alright. I don't like that little wrinkled fabric in the middle there, though. Standing upright looks best to me. The figure comes with many accessories. The most noteworthy to me is this little tiny Wasp figure. It has a lot of good detail within the paint, considering its size. Also, the detail within the wings. I mean, considering how itsy-bitsy this is, I like how good it looks. You can see, just compared to my fingers, how small it is. It appears to be attached to the figure stand. I like that it includes a figure stand. We have these pair of huge open palm spread finger hands. Then we have more relaxed open palm hands. The figure starts off, comes out of the package with fist hands, and then we have this grip hand. This is good for gripping the little discs, the enlarging and shrinking discs. Very cleanly painted. Then we get her back cover. This goes over the when you've attached the wings. This is where the wing pieces stick out. And then if you want to switch it out, here is the unit with the wings like in standby mode. And again, a little tiny texturing right there on the edges of the wings, the surface of the wings. Really nice. Let's see, we also have these 3 batteries, which will plug into the helmet. We'll get to that in a moment. And these wrist pegs. Also, we have this like compact piece of the helmet. This is a neck attachment that gets paired with the unhelmeted sculpt. In the movie, when the helmet gets retracted, it retracts to the back of the neck. So we're going to plug that to the back of the neck in a moment. But I want to show you guys this head sculpt, which I think is excellent. I think Hot Toys has really done a great job with this one. The sculpt on the hair is great. The hair ponytail does rotate 360 degrees, but I think just like some of the detail on like, you know, where the hair is at her forehead and that little bit that's like hanging down, really well done. The skin paint's great, but the likeness here I think is excellent. They did a great job sculpting her lips and painting her lips. The eyebrows are great. The wetness of her eyeballs, her cheekbones, her jawline. You know, from like every angle, this absolutely reads like Evangeline Lilly. So I think Hot Toys really nailed this one. Now here I'm going to give you guys a little closer look at the wings. You can see how there's just like a basic like little peg with like these two like swiveling bits there. We'll attach these in a moment, but I just want to show you guys the close-up detail of like the little metal sections there, and then just that pattern, that detailed pattern that's within the wings themselves and the little lines. This is a really close-up look. I'll just give you guys a little wider look there. But yeah, I'm looking forward to plugging these on in a moment, but let's take a look at the figure stand. You got this artwork on the top of the stand surface and her name on the front. It is worth noting that they have gone with the big bendy arm thing for this, so you can, you know, get her in a flying position. I do appreciate that they've moved away from those giant stands when they use these metal bendy arms. Like Deadpool, for example, had this giant base that takes up so much real estate on your shelves. I do wish, you know, they would have included a regular stand with this as well, just because I like the little underleg scoop thing if you want to display this without her being in a flying pose. Like, this is great if she is going to be in a flying pose, but let's say you don't want her to be that way. You've got to slowly rotate this clamp like all the way down, and it takes forever. So yeah, anyway, you plug that in like so, and there you go. Lastly, this figure comes with this backdrop and these little triangle things to attach to the side. It's interesting. I'd want to flatten this out and attach it, but the little slots are at an angle. So I'll be doing that in a moment. But first, I just want to give you guys a closer look at the artwork. It appears to be photos of the actual figure, not from the movie. But you have a series of little poses, and I think that's kind of neat as a starting point, because then you could put your figure right here kind of next to it and kind of completing the growing effect. Here it is, fully assembled. I'll be honest with you guys, it's not really my thing. I don't display my figures with this sort of backdrop, but it is nice that they included a little something extra. Man, it helps if you have little fingers, because trying to put these little batteries into such like a narrow slot with these fingers damn near started to test my patience. But yeah, just flick the little on switch. And there you have her light up visor. Now I had to turn my shooting lights off because they're so bright that they actually negated the effect. You couldn't even tell that it was on. But, you know, under just normal room lighting, they look pretty good. Like it reads pretty good. I've just got, you know, the one room light on, and I really like this. Popping off her head is super easy. Now one thing worth noting, there is this little gap back here where you plug in the neck piece. But I did notice that, like, her little shoulder things here, they line up the same on the front, but you can see that little slot back here. It's a little off center from that slot. Can't really move it, and when I plug this into the back, it's now like at an angle and off center from like the neck, and I think that's a little weird. Alright, so here's the unmasked look in all of its uneven back of the neck glory. I do see now why they made the ponytail articulated, because it can't hang dead center. It would hit this, so you actually have to swing it out of the way. I also switched out the hand with the little disc. That was really easy. Like, switching out the wrist joints was no problem whatsoever. One thing I do want to note, though, is the way you attach these things in the back. I'm not thrilled with the placement of the pegs. I mean, I understand, you know, where else are you going to put them, but we got the two pegs here, top and bottom, to the holes top and bottom. It's pretty snug fit. Not problematic as far as putting it in, but, and I'm not putting it in all the way, but I just want to point out that when you want to take it off, with the plugs being at the top and bottom, you know, your wiggle points to pull out, even though your thumbs want to grab the side, you'd want to wiggle it this way, but you can't really grip the bottom, so it takes a little bit of patience, and I'm always kind of paranoid that I'm going to snap the little pegs off because it's kind of brittle plastic. So just be cautious when you're putting this on and you know, taking it off. But anyway, there's the general effect. There you go. Alright, now I'm going to attach the wings by plugging this plug into this hole here in the middle. And you can see how the little bars at the top and bottom kind of line up with this little slot with them. I'll just do the same on this side, and just being kind of delicate with it. You don't want to B2. Oh, that was really easy to plug in though. And then this little cover just goes right over it. And that's easy peasy, man. Looking at this figure on the little tabletop here, I gotta admit, with the wings attached, it looks super cool. Now, even though it looks cool, maybe you've noticed one wing points a lot higher than the other. Now, they do articulate like forward and back, but they don't like hinge up and down. I think this has something to do with the actual back plate, not the outer plate, but the base itself. The fact that my neck was a little crooked, I think this is just a little crooked. It's tilting to the right, so the top left is pointing out of it. I'm not thrilled about that, but it's not so wonky that you're like, what the hell am I looking at, like such a drastic degree. It still is generally pointing in the general direction you want it. I just want to give a closer look at the way this little thing moves, the little articulation. You have a decent range of motion. I wouldn't recommend twisting these at all. Even though they are, you know, attached as a joint, you can definitely, they feel delicate. And here's just a wider look at her with her wings articulated, just a wider shot so you can get a better sense of space. I do think this looks really cool this way. In fact, when I put it on the base, I imagine I'm going to want to have the wings in this kind of pose. I think it looks really cool. In fact, let's just show you from the front there. You need to give yourself a few inches of space for her to be able to, you can't have her right up against the wall when her wings are like this. Here's another look at the figure with her wings bent back. I decided to turn the lights off in the room and turn the lights on in her helmet just because I thought it would look cool. And yeah, I think it looks really damn cool. Alright, here's the figure on the figure stand, and I like the way it looks. In particular, I like the fact that we get a double knee joint because I really like flying poses with like one bent knee, and I think the Wasp really works with her arms kind of pointed down. So yeah, that looks good. One little thing that I'm not a fan of though is just how much the suit bends right there when you lift her leg up. Oh well. A few things to note here. When you are moving the wings, make sure you lift her over the clamp. There's this little like thing for your fingers, your thumb to grip here on the clamp, and the wing might hit it, so you want to bring it over or just pose it before you put it on. Another kind of a bummer, I guess, for me is that I wanted to kind of pose her not just flying, but leaning forward, so she's not quite Supermaning, but you know, a little bit of a dramatic angle, you know, with her head up and kind of flying forward a bit. But this clamp doesn't really, it's not a tight grip at all, and she tends to swing down very easily, so you're not really going to get her at a very dramatic angle, you know, not without, you know, tightening the grip on this considerably. Still though, even like this, I'm pretty happy with how it looks. I think this is a pretty neat looking effect. As long as I can get it to stay at this angle, I really dig how this looks quite a bit. Especially if I had this on like a higher shelf and I was kind of looking up at it a bit. Looking up at it a bit more like this. See, you just lower the camera a little bit and you instantly have a little more dynamic of an angle. I actually got the figure to stay in that angled pose for quite a while, and I thought, you know what, maybe I'm wrong, and then I just barely touched it and it swung out of the C-clamp. So it took me a while to get it back in this position, but yeah, it is a little futzy. Now, this retails for $251 on the Sideshow website, and I think that's a solid price. I'm really happy with that price point, and I'm really happy with this figure. It may not come with like a lot of crazy accessories, you know, like weapons or alternate outfits, but it is a very well-designed figure. I think that the texture of the costume is great. Articulation is solid. I love the helmet. I think the wings look great, and it comes with an excellent head sculpt with Evangeline Lilly. I think Hot Toys really delivered with this figure. I'm very satisfied by it. So thanks for watching, everybody. Let me know in the comments what you think. And if you want, you can like this video, you can share it, whatever. Here are the links to my social media.